Welcome to the Islam Channel's special series of explainers about the UK general election. Now, we'll be preparing a number of these about different aspects of the election as we go through the weeks. But for the moment, we're going to have a look at the Tories' issues on foreign policy, specifically the increases in defence expenditure and their election flagship policy of reintroduction of conscription, a key general election battleground. Now, the Tories and Labour may be unpleasantly surprised by two opinion polls in recent weeks that show that the British public are highly sceptical about war and talk of war. The news website Unheard commissioned one poll and YouGov commissioned the other. So what were the findings? Well, the headline result in the Unheard poll was that most Britons think that the country should be less involved in foreign wars. That's the opinion of 44%, while only 7% would like to see the country more engaged, and 36% thought that it should stay pretty much as it is. And those figures remain pretty much the same whether we look at Labour or Tory voters. Here are the figures. And as you can see, when they're asked about this, only 7% of people say that the country should be more engaged in foreign wars, 44% say that they should be less engaged, and a mere 36% think that the policy is right as it is. Now, the opinion polls went on to ask people about the Gaza conflict and gave them a range of options on this conflict. And the largest proportion of voters, 35%, think that Britain should disengage, while the next highest category, 27%, think that the government should be tougher on Israel, and only 12% thought it should be tougher on the Palestinians. Let's just have a look at that display. Here we are. The UK should take a tougher stance on Israel, 27%. The UK should take a tougher stance on the Palestinians. Now, of course, that really is the policy of most major parties, but only 12% of the public agree. And, of course, the UK, both the government and the opposition, are committed to remaining engaged with the defence of Israel, but only 35% of the public think that they should disengage. So that's a pretty stunning series of responses. Now, support is higher for the war in the Ukraine, but most voters think that either no side is winning or that the Russians are coming out on top. Let's just have a look at the attitudes to Ukraine there. Here we are. Do you think that the Ukraine is winning? Well, Russia came out as 30% of people thought that they were winning. The Ukraine, only 12% thought that they were winning. That neither side were winning. That was the opinion of most people on 41%. In general, however, Britons are war averse. The Unheard poll, like the YouGov poll before it, shows that there are practically no circumstances in which voters want their children to fight in the army, including if the country were just about to be invaded. The YouGov poll had remarkably similar results. Let's just take a look at those results. How many Britons would be willing to serve in the armed forces if a new world war broke out? That's what the question was. And I guess the most surprising finding is this one just down here, which says, I would not volunteer and would refuse to serve if called up. That was the opinion of 38% in that poll. The Unheard poll is perhaps even more dramatic. Let's just have a look at those results there. Would you want your children to fight in the British Army in each of the following circumstances? That was the question that people were asked. And the first line was to defend the UK from an invasion. So even in those extraordinary circumstances where the country was just about to be invaded, 68% of people said that they wouldn't want their kids to join the army. Now, that's quite remarkable. And the figures were even higher. Would you want them to defend Poland? No, 72% said. Would you want them to defend France? No, 71% said. So even if there was an imminent threat of invasion, the largest percentage of respondents would refuse to join the army, even if they were conscripted. Tory and Labour leaderships are agreed on increasing defence expenditure to historically high levels, and with Sir Keir Starmer's only objection to the Tory plan to reintroduce conscription being that it's not properly funded, well, the British public have a far deeper concerns about militarism, and the very age group that would face conscription seem to be the most determined in their opposition to the establishment's attempt to put society on a war footing. So, the first battle of the new wartime era seems to be the one that will be fought between politicians and the British public.